Hi there, hi there. It is September and I am live on the first Friday. I'm feeling very proud of myself that I've been able to be fairly consistent with this first Friday of every month. I also don't know what it says about me that I'm always available on Fridays. Prioritization, that's what that says. Prioritization is what that says. But my name is Trish Broderick. I'm with Ignite Insight and Innovation. And every month I come live with a different topic for people. And as if you have comments and stuff, if you're listening in, feel free to throw them in and I'll respond. But I'm super excited because today I don't have to just talk to myself on a blank screen. Today I have a special guest. So bring in Dr. Dave on. Do you want to introduce yourselves? Because that's always the worst, listening to somebody else introduce you.
Hey, my name is Dave A. Cornelius. Everyone calls me Dr. Dave. I'm just excited to be here. I've been hanging out with Trisha for over the years at different conferences. Sometimes we do some of these things together. So I like to think of myself as being a generative leader, someone who helps to bring new life and opportunities in companies with people. And that's kind of like my focus. And, we use a bunch of different frameworks to help to enable that, or structures to enable that work. But I am just excited to be here today. I was challenged at the Agile 2024 to start collaborating more.
Well, to be fair, you collaborate a lot, but being intentional with certain collaborations.
That's true. I was challenged. So I reached out to everyone that I know and said, hey, can we collaborate on something? And here we are.
I mean, I'm like, anytime I don't have to just talk at myself, I'm game with it. I was actually thinking about this just before the call. I was trying to remember what year we actually met. I want to say it was like 2014, 15.
Probably.
But I can't. Does that seem right?
That seems right because I met Declan in 2014 or 15 when we started to introduce the 5 Saturdays.
Oh, that's what I was thinking. It was the 5 Saturdays. I wasn't on the board yet.
No,
but it was on the program team. And I think we sat near each other during, this is how crazy my memory is. I think we sat near each other during the annual members meeting.
Yeah.
That year, and they were highlighting the 5 Saturdays, and I asked a bunch of questions with that, and then eventually was on the board and helped support that initiative, right? Yeah. But I think it was 2014, 15 time.
Yeah, right around then. And then we saw each other again at the Scrum gathering, and we're again talking about the same program, 5 Saturdays, which is one of my passion programs or initiative.
Although I'm starting to realize when I start dating this, I just start feeling old. I was like, has it really been like 10 years? Yes, it has. It has. Yes. Although COVID years make it always feel a little bit different.
Yeah, I try to stay away. I feel old, and I just said that. I am just privileged to have these opportunities, and kind of like trying to frame it in a positive way.
Look at you all being wonderful. See, I'm already better for the collaboration. So today's topic, and I gave Dave maybe a 5-minute warning of the topic, so truly unscripted, is a technique I want to kind of experiment live with. At the last Agile Alliance conference, I don't think this is necessarily a formal technique, but I'm crafting it into a technique. I heard somebody go, I'm going to start just kind of owning something I did and highlight I did that and take ownership of it. And my initial reaction when this person did that, I was like, oh, I would never do that. My initial reaction was like, oh my gosh, I would never want to do that. I had such a visceral, you getting challenged about collaborating. I had this visceral reaction of oh. And yet when I watched this person do it after that, and then take some ownership of different things that she had contributed to or done, I was like, oh, that's lovely. I had all the reasons that I was having a visceral reaction. I didn't actually feel for that person, right? Because my visceral reaction was oh, it feels arrogant. It feels not I don't we'll see as I'm doing this, right? But yet I enjoyed it when she did it. So, and the result of what she was doing with it. So I was like, well, I want to try this. And this was what was on the docket for this round. And so when you said, I want to join, now you get to experiment too.
and that's what we do, right? I mean, we live in this wonderful space of, let's test the hypothesis and see what we learn, right?
Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
So the way this is going to work is I did that and then acknowledge some kind of accomplishment while trying to diminish your disclaimers with it.
Okay. I'm waiting.
Do you want me to do it first, or do you
Of
want
course,
to do it first?
you're the expert. I'm just learning.
Because I was going to put you on the. Okay. So, see, I already don't like this already. I did that. I co-wrote a book with Diana Larson. And I'm trying to stop and just go silent for a second, right? But if I go meta, like behind the scenes, right, of what I want to follow it up with is some part of me wants to follow it up with a recognition to how amazing of an opportunity and a privilege it was to write with Diana. And there is genuineness in that, obviously, that's incredible, but it's fascinating to me that I don't like just saying I co-wrote a book with Diana Larson. If I'm talking to somebody, ooh, this is fascinating, just realizing this, thinking out loud, I'm realizing I'm okay saying that, just saying I did that. I co-wrote a book with Diana Larson called Lead Without Blame. To somebody who doesn't know Diana, I can just say that. Yeah. Just now with you, knowing that you know Diana, I'm I feel lucky. I feel honored. I feel I want to give that extra element. It's fascinating. Do I want to give it for your benefit or for my benefit? Right? I don't actually know there. Right. But I'm just now realizing I can say the first part to a stranger that doesn't know Diana. Even with you sitting on this call right now, I want to say the second thing because you know Diana.
Say the second thing. Let's hear it.
Well, that's the I did that, but I co-wrote the book, but I want to give the extra disclaimer that I feel lucky that I got to co-write the book because it was with Diana, because you knew Diana. Yeah. So it's hard for me to just do the I did that part without the disclaimer when someone knows the person. But I don't know why I'm doing that. If that's really because if I think through it for a second, because it's not that I think you don't think I'm qualified to write the book. It's not that I think that I didn't fully contribute to writing the book. I think I get worried. So worried maybe is the wrong word. I think I know how amazing of an opportunity that so many people would have loved to have had that opportunity to write with Diana, that I almost feel guilty about it.
Yeah.
So I don't like owning the part of it to somebody who knows because of that. So that's fascinating.
That is fascinating.
Okay. Your turn. You try one.
Okay, I'm going to try one. So I did that, and I got to interview Diana Larson for my book, Deliver Value. And I just felt that I like you. I felt so lucky for her to lend her voice to talk about the definition of value. What is value? What does it mean to deliver value? And it's sometimes I go, I'm no words. I'm like, right? No words, because it's such an honor. I met Diana 2013, I think, something like that, in Southern California. And we've stayed in touch over the years. My son lived in Portland, was taught by her son Willem. So that we have that connection that we've had for some time. and I just felt honored, and I just want to let you know that I felt jealous that I didn't get to write a book with her. So
And now we are off the rails, people. Now
I
you see
know,
the negatives of this technique.
yeah,
But I think just listening to you and then listening to mine for that one, I mean,
yeah,
granted they were related in Diana, but like, I think there's an element of, I struggle with highlighting I did that because I always want to acknowledge the full value of it.
yeah.
And my part seems so small that it seems trite in comparison, like to the full value. Because even when you were like, I have no words, like that's immediately what came to my mind. Is like, it's almost unexplainable in terms of the full value of that. I did
Yeah.
that it feels wrong just to give a quick part of it.
Yeah, but you know, I think sometimes I reconcile with it being okay for us to be in that space sometimes, because it's um it comes from a space of genuineness,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
Okay, let
so
me try
that
another
matters.
one and then you can
Okay.
try another one. Let's see
Yeah.
let me go a totally different direction now. Okay, something else I'm proud of that I did that. I have been independent and officially owned my own company for quite some time now. Independent for 9 years, in my company for 4, although before we were in a coalition, so it really was kind of all just changing of letterhead because I'm still close. But I did that. I have a successful small business, women-owned company. I really hate this technique. I hate, like, so here's the question that I would have.
Mm-hmm.
Why would I ever say that? It's all true.
Yeah,
But what context would I ever say that?
I could see that you're, and I'm gonna suck you into my little world of Five
Okay, go
Saturdays.
for it.
I'm
We're
pulling you into the
analyzing
Five
it.
Saturdays space. I could see you coming in and sharing that with a bunch of high school girls so that they may have a vision
So
of what's possible.
representation.
Yes. Well, it's not just representation, but it's also within the context of their minds. They get to see what is possible, which is really huge. Some
Okay, that
13-year-old girl looking at Trisha doing a handstand and
going, this is what you could do when you're approaching 50.
yeah, yeah, and bring that story out. That would be such a powerful visual for that young woman
So
to,
that's
yeah,
fascinating in that I mentally went to a place where it was like, it wasn't that it felt like bragging. It wasn't that it felt like it was not factually correct or anything, but couldn't see value in highlighting that to somebody. But in your statement back, like instantly when you said, I was like, oh yeah, but I can even think about it from somebody else that isn't a high schooler that is
yeah,
like, hey, do I want to do this independent? Is this possible? Right. And I don't think of myself as that represent or that like example. Um, but there is truth in that. And so for me, it's like, it just seems like, what's the value in that? But you just gave me a really good value in that. So
great.
I think I'm writing narratives that make me hide the things in my world. Huh. Okay, your turn.
Okay, I did that. I started a STEM organization. Oh my God, I think we started in 2013. Yeah, I started in 2013 in LA, and in some ways, there's a certain amount of pride in doing that, because it's kind of like, well, you just brought up representation. and you and I, well, we work in the technology field. I used to be a software engineer and an architect, and you used to build code as well. So we know that there's low representation, but to be able to create kind of a space for high school students to learn how to code, learn about entrepreneurship, all these, design thinking, how to communicate better. Um, I thought it was fun and significant. And guess what? I ran into one of the students this year at a book festival, and he was just like praising. I hadn't seen him since 2019 or 2020, but now he was going off to do an internship at MIT, and I'm going like, wow. I didn't do that, but what I did was set up the space for him to dream a little bit, and so, so that to me, I hate to, I talk about it because I think it's important, but I don't like bragging about it. But I was so excited for that young man when I saw him, Moses. Like, wow, Moses, wow. I have a picture of you when you didn't look anything like this. Look at you, you're all beefed up, 4 or 5 years later.
So let's go meta on that part, because you made
Yeah.
a comment in there. First of all, that's amazing. Second, you made a comment. He's like, is that easy for you to highlight? Because you said bragging versus not, like, how can I pry a little bit? Is it easy for you? Is this technique easier for you than it seems to be for me? Or is this what goes through your head when you're doing it? Do you feel like it's bragging, or are you worried about it?
I don't worry about it because it's rooted in truth, right? As long as it's rooted in truth, I'm okay with it. It's when we get into that 25% embellishment that we all do from time to time,
I'm
unintentionally.
strictly 24% this one. I'm strictly 24%.
Yeah. So yeah, as long as it's rooted in truth, I'm good with it, but yeah, I don't like bragging about stuff that I've done. It was like, meh.
Do you think you highlight a lot of your I did that's? Do you think most people know all the things you've done?
No. Yeah, I don't. I try to get to know people as opposed to get and know more about them versus it being about me. That's normally my go-to. Like, hey, I have more questions about you and where have you been and what's up with you and your family and what's your favorite things, that kind of stuff.
So I do, like, in a story like that, in an I did that kind of example, I have a dynamic, and you did it in there. It's like, I'm like, look at this, like it's about that person, right?
Yeah.
Like, and wanting the attention to be on that person. And yet you had a huge role in it,
Yeah.
and in a different capacity, in different ways, in different dynamics. And yet I think that's so powerful, kind of now going full circle with these things, because I get asked so many times, well, how did you start speaking, or how did you do that? And I was like, it's all of those I did that's that most people never hear about.
Yeah.
It's that Dave Hussman could have done. I did that. I put her on a stage. It's like Mitch Lacey. I did that. I asked her to be on the program conference team, right? And all these different scenarios of people that contributed to somebody else's door opening, contributed to supporting them, contributing to lifting them up in different ways. But we don't always hear those. And yet those are later the things when somebody comes back and they're like, well, how did you do it? And I'm like, I didn't. Like X, Y, and Z helped me do it, and things along those lines. But I wonder, because those I did that's are not as often shared, that it ends up creating narratives of people just getting lucky, or people just having, or being unexplained why something was helpful for one person when it was, but at the end of the day, there are things, systematic things that are, not guarantees, but definitely increase the odds for somebody, that we don't always share those I did that's.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, there was this book by Clayton Christensen, and he wrote it's something about luck. I forgot the name of it. I read it several times and I forgot the title, but I when you said luck, you know, I'm thinking that is such an amazing thing, that luck works in a way that it creates opportunity, but you have to be willing to step into that opportunity, take that risk. And that was the gist of his, about the book itself.
I had to look it up. It's competing against luck.
Competing against luck. Yes. Yeah, I was about to bring up my Kindle.
I was on it while you were talking. I was on it with it.
There you go.
Yeah, it's because I can think of, and the fascinating thing is I can think of instantly hundreds of examples of I did that's where I've been helping somebody behind the scenes or doing something, and in some ways, sometimes I didn't even know I did that until someone afterwards told me what I did, right? Like, you actually did X, Y, or Z, and that was super helpful. And I was like, I did? So I can't even claim it was always intentional, always the support or things like that. But in my head, I've attributed those to paying those forward for what other people did for me, that it didn't need to be about me. But I think that is an interesting experience that I'm having for this, is maybe sharing more of those I did that's, like, for an example, and again, this is something I cannot take sole credit for. I got this idea from Lisa Crispin. But when I often am asked a keynote now, I ask as part of the compensation that I can name an underrepresented person on the program.
Yeah.
It's an easy way for me to help people get in the door, help people like have an opportunity, get past the vetting kind of things and things like that. And a lot of times conferences don't always have a lot of money, and it's an easy thing for me to ask for with things. And so, but I never think to, share that. And yet then I also go, how many people are keynoting right now that could be actually doing the same thing? That could be opening even more of those doors if I did share something like that.
That would be very important, right? To say, hey, while you have this opportunity, maybe you plug someone else.
Because if Lisa Crispin hadn't actually mentioned something in passing to me once at a conference, I wouldn't have gotten that idea to do it, right?
Yeah.
So maybe there's benefit in the I did that, not from even from an ownership person. I kind of went into this technique thinking it was about taking ownership, right? And taking pride. But now I'm kind of coming out of this activity, this experiment, with that it's about lifting everything up.
Yeah. Tides lift all boats, right?
Yeah.
And
that makes it a lot easier for me to do.
Oh,
It doesn't feel self-serving, right?
Yeah. So oftentimes when I talk about experiences like that, I try to tell a story about the value that someone got out of it and highlight them, right? And so it's less of I had some part, but geez, this individual put the work in and got there. So, yeah.
Well, cool. Well, thank you for experimenting, exploring with me.
Yes,
I will keep practicing and trying different things with it. What do you have coming up where can people find you coming up?
What do I have coming up? So the 11th, I'm doing a LinkedIn Live like this, and I'm talking about one of the lean portfolio management steps called Operate, right? This is how to put all of this in play and take all the ideas in and think about investments and on and on. So it's very tactical sounding. And then, let's not forget SOSA 24, right? A state of sustainability, agility from the Alliance, Agile Alliance. I think it's October 6th or October, something like that. I'm presenting this generative sustainability practice, which is a tool or practice that I've created to have conversation around sustainability and how do we innovate and blah, blah, blah. So it's going to be fun.
Blah, 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 blah. It's wonderful.
Wonderful. Well, see, that's the part like, hey, I don't want to keep talking about myself. So here.
Now we morphed into a different version of I did that.
Yeah, it was right.
I'm doing this.
Yeah. So that's, and I'm really excited, but I also want to give, I'm also doing some collaboration, this intentional behavior with this young woman named Pragma, who did Eco Teens. So, I'm doing some also collaboration with her. So, I mean, she wanted to come and speak at SOSA. So I said, let me just go, yes, and yeah, sure. Come on. Why not?
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And I put your LinkedIn in the chat as well, just so people can
Appreciate
find
you.
for that. I didn't prepare that in advance. I had to just go quickly do it because,
Just grab it.
whatever. Yeah. So for me, I have kind of a busy conference schedule. October, man, and they're all in person. So I will be at AI and DevOps, TechWell's AI DevOps in Orlando in October, doing a couple tutorials. I'm going to be at Agile Indy doing a session, which I've never been to Agile Indy. It's been on my bucket list, so I'm super excited.
Nice.
I will be keynoting Innovate in Richmond, Virginia, in October as well. And then I will be keynoting a local thing here in Denver for WCIT as well in October. So big October month for conferences, all in person. So this happy extrovert is very, very like in her inner element. I have the remainder of the open. I don't do many public classes, but I do have the final CSM, facilitation, leadership, and training speaking courses up now for the last of the year. There's just one each for them, but those are now all up that you can find those on my website with things. So,
nice.
But hopefully I'll see people at these October conferences because I am just thrilled.
You go. It's so funny that I have pulled back on conferences since COVID. I need to get back into it.
This extrovert needs conferences, man. It is part of my energy that I get dramatically from that I've just embraced and accepted. Now, I probably wouldn't say generally I want to do that many in 1 month.
Yeah, that's a lot.
But I'm not going to pass up a couple of those opportunities. I had not been to Agile India yet, and obviously the 2 keynotes and things. So I'm making it work. But I try to do no more, like between 5 and 10 conferences a year. But sometimes they're local, sometimes they vary, and sometimes there's more than 10 depending on the locations, because there are other places like I can't just pass up. Like I wasn't passing up Cape Town, South Africa. I wasn't passing up Budapest, right?
Wow.
So some years it gets a little bit more, but I am definitely a in-person conference junkie.
Well, you go. I mean, you go. I mean, I'm so glad that you're doing that. I've thought about it. I'm like, I gotta travel. Whining about nothing. That's what it is.
Well, thank you for joining me. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for experimenting and trying this out and letting me dig in and explore things. And completely honestly pivot a little bit on what this technique ended up being about in the end. So that's pretty cool. That's basically an example of what happens at these conferences while we're chit-chatting.
Exactly. Just that.
This is exactly why I'm a junkie for these conferences. Is exactly that. That is what happens. You're like, oh, so that's right. Like, and you're going down. So thank you, my friend. I enjoy, and it's always a pleasure every time.
Yeah, just let me know anytime you want someone to jump on and sit with you and chat. Just let me know. I'm open.
Perfect.
All right.
Until next time, everybody.
Until next time.